On the corner of Mercer and Hawthorne sat a shop that did not exist on any map. Its windows were always spotless. Its sign bore no name. There were no advertisements, no business hours, and no customers ever seemed to enter while anyone was watching. Yet every few months, someone in the city would quietly begin living an entirely different life. A struggling actor would suddenly become a celebrated executive. A bankrupt musician would awaken with the confidence of a famous composer. A lonely widow would inherit the charisma of a beloved television personality. No one questioned how completely they had changed. Only that they had. Nathan Hale noticed the pattern because noticing patterns was his profession. He restored antique photographs for museums, spending entire days examining tiny details most people overlooked. Creases in clothing, reflections in windows, forgotten faces standing at the edge of family portraits. His work demanded patience. It also demanded memory, which was why the mistake bothered him. One Tuesday afternoon, he finished restoring a century-old wedding photograph. Before sealing the digital archive, he glanced once more at the image. Something was wrong. The groom's face looked unfamiliar. Not damaged, not blurred, simply different. He opened the original scan. The groom wore another man's face entirely. Nathan frowned. He checked the museum's physical print. The face matched the scan. Yet he could have sworn it had belonged to someone else only yesterday. He blamed exhaustion. That evening he walked home through the rain. As he crossed Mercer Street, he noticed a narrow storefront he had never seen before. Elegant black wood. Tall glass windows. Inside, dozens of porcelain masks rested on velvet stands. Some smiled. Some cried. Some appeared perfectly expressionless. Above the door hung no sign. Only a brass plaque. Private appointments only. Nathan slowed. The shop felt strangely familiar. Not because he remembered seeing it, but because it seemed as though he had forgotten it. The bell above the door never rang. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cedar and old paper. Rows of masks lined the walls. Not carnival masks. Human faces. Every wrinkle. Every eyelash. Every pore. Each one impossibly lifelike. Behind a polished counter stood an elderly tailor dressed in charcoal gray. He smiled politely. "I've been expecting you." Nathan laughed awkwardly. "I think you have the wrong person." "No." The tailor folded a measuring tape with practiced precision. "I never do. My name is Elias." Nathan introduced himself. Elias nodded as though confirming something already known. "You restore memories," he said. "I restore identities." Nathan assumed he meant costume design. Movie prosthetics. The masks certainly looked convincing enough. "They're extraordinary," Nathan admitted. "They're genuine." Nathan chuckled. "Genuine what?" "People." Silence settled between them. Then Elias smiled again. "Forgive me. Most customers prefer not to know immediately." Nathan wandered among the displays. Each mask seemed strangely alive. Not moving. Simply present. One resembled a nervous young accountant. Another looked like a retired soldier. A third carried the weary kindness of an old grandmother. Each expression felt complete. Each face seemed to contain an entire lifetime. A small handwritten label rested beneath every stand. Not names. Occupations. Teacher. Pilot. Judge. Violinist. Surgeon. Poet. He frowned. Why occupations? Because identity begins with purpose. Elias approached carrying a velvet box. Inside rested a perfectly ordinary face. Average. Forgettable. Brown hair. Gray eyes. The sort of person no one remembered meeting. This was once a very dangerous man. Nathan laughed nervously. "You're serious?" "Entirely." "What happened to him?" "He traded." "For what?" "A quieter life." Nathan left the shop amused more than unsettled. Yet all evening he found himself thinking about the masks. Mostly. One in particular. A handsome, middle-aged face labeled simply architect. It carried effortless confidence. The sort of confidence Nathan had never possessed. For 34 years Nathan had been invisible. Not unattractive. Not unsuccessful. Simply forgettable. People interrupted him, forgot his name, looked past him during conversations. His work earned awards. His face earned nothing. Sometimes he wondered whether personality began with appearance, whether strangers decided who you were before you ever spoke. The following morning something impossible happened. His barista greeted him by the wrong name. "Morning, David." Nathan blinked. "I'm Nathan." The woman looked confused. "Oh." She laughed. "Sorry." Yet she continued staring, as though trying to remember which answer was correct. By lunchtime, 2 co-workers insisted they had met him before. One claimed they had attended university together. The other apologized for forgetting his promotion. Neither memory belonged to Nathan. That evening curiosity defeated caution. He returned to the shop. Elias seemed unsurprised. "I wondered how long it would take." Nathan gestured toward the masks. "They aren't costumes." "No. What are they?" "Possibilities." Elias unlocked a heavy oak cabinet. Inside rested only 5 masks. Unlike the others, these seemed almost warm beneath the soft light. "They are available." Nathan hesitated. Available. Every identity has value. What does that mean? It means someone once surrendered these lives. Nathan touched the glass. The architect, the detective, the politician, the explorer, the composer. Each face radiated an almost magnetic presence. "You may borrow one." Nathan looked at him. "Borrow?" "For 7 days. And then you decide whether to return it." Nathan laughed. "And if I don't?" For the first time, Elias did not smile. Instead, he quietly answered, "Then the face begins borrowing you." Nathan should have walked away. Instead, he agreed. Elias carefully lifted the architect's face from its velvet stand. It felt impossibly soft. Not rubber, not porcelain. It felt warm. "Close your eyes," Elias whispered. Nathan hesitated only a second. The mask settled against his skin. There was no pressure, no pain, only a strange warmth spreading across his cheeks, his forehead, and finally behind his eyes. When Elias handed him a mirror, Nathan barely recognized the man staring back. He was still himself, yet somehow better. Sharper jaw, straighter posture, eyes filled with quiet confidence. The sort of face people naturally trusted. "You'll understand soon enough," Elias said. "Remember." 7 days. The changes began immediately. On his walk home, strangers smiled at him. A woman held the cafe door open. People made room for him on the crowded train. For the first time in years, Nathan felt seen. The following morning his editor greeted him enthusiastically. "Nathan, exactly who I wanted to see." No one had ever spoken to him like that. During meetings, co-workers listened when he spoke. His suggestions became brilliant. His jokes became funny. By lunch, someone invited him to dinner. By evening, another company had contacted him with a better offer. Nothing about his skills had changed. Only his face. 3 days later, he barely remembered the timid man who had entered the mask shop. This felt natural. It felt like becoming the person he had always deserved to be. He stopped avoiding mirrors. Stopped apologizing before speaking. Stopped doubting himself. The world seemed infinitely kinder. On the 4th night, he dreamed of another life. He stood inside an unfinished skyscraper overlooking a glowing city. Blueprints covered a massive desk. A woman kissed him goodbye before leaving for work. Children laughed somewhere upstairs. Nathan woke weeping. None of those memories belonged to him. Yet they felt more vivid than his own childhood. By the 6th day, he no longer called them dreams. They were memories. He knew the names of buildings he had never visited. He remembered university professors he had never met. He mourned parents who had never existed. His own past grew strangely distant. He rushed back to the shop. "I want it off." Elias looked almost relieved. You've come just in time. Nathan reached for the mask. It would not move. His fingers slipped across skin that no longer felt separate from his own. It won't come off. It won't, Elias answered quietly. Not by force. Panic flooded Nathan's voice. You said 7 days. I said you would decide. I am deciding. No. Elias met his terrified gaze. The face already has. Nathan stumbled backward. What does that mean? Elias sighed. You believed you were borrowing an identity. You weren't. You were inviting another life to continue. Elias led him into a locked basement beneath the shop. Hundreds, no, thousands, of masks rested upon endless shelves. Every face carried a small brass plaque. Some labels were decades old, others centuries. King, executioner, doctor, painter, mother, priest, thief. Each represented someone who had once refused to let go. They are dead. The bodies are. The identities remain. Nathan stared in horror. They are alive. They continue wherever someone chooses to wear them. But why me? Because you wanted another life. Nathan shook his head. I only wanted confidence. Elias looked at him sadly. Confidence. Success. Beauty. Recognition. People rarely ask for a different face. They ask for permission to stop being themselves. Nathan desperately clawed at his skin. Nothing moved. The face smiled back from every reflection exactly as it wished. Not as he wished. Then the memories accelerated. He forgot his mother's birthday. Forgot the apartment where he had lived for 8 years. Forgot the smell of the chemicals in his restoration studio. But he remembered. Graduating from architectural school. Winning design competitions. Building towers that reached into the clouds. He remembered a wife. Children. A lifetime that belonged to someone else. His own name became difficult. Nathan. Nathan. The words sounded unfamiliar. Like a stranger's. He returned to his apartment. Every photograph seemed wrong. He recognized none of the people. One framed picture showed himself as a child beside his parents. He stared at it for nearly a minute. I know him. He pointed at the boy. But who am I? The following morning the neighbors greeted him. Good morning, Mr. Archer. Nathan almost corrected them. Instead, he answered naturally. Morning. Mr. Archer. That felt right. Nathan felt mistaken. Weeks passed. His restoration clients stopped calling. No one named Nathan Hale could be located. Employment records quietly updated. University databases shifted. Driver's licenses changed. Every document now identified him as Daniel Archer. Award-winning architect. Married. Widowed. Exactly as the memories insisted. Reality itself appeared to cooperate. Only one thing remained. The old photograph. Hidden beneath loose floorboards. The image of a nervous young restorer smiling beside his parents. On the back, in fading handwriting, someone had written, Nathan Hale, Summer, 2014. Daniel stared at the words for hours. They felt important. He simply couldn't remember why. Years later, a young woman entered the unnamed shop. She apologized before speaking, avoided eye contact, believed no one ever noticed her. Elias welcomed her warmly. I've been expecting you. She wandered among the shelves until she stopped before a remarkably confident face. A small brass plaque rested beneath it. It read only, Photographic Restorer. She smiled. I feel like I know him. Elias nodded gently. I'm sure you do. He unlocked the cabinet, carefully lifted the face from its stand, and whispered the same words he had spoken countless times before. You may borrow it. For 7 days. Outside, snow began to fall across the empty street. Inside the shop, one more life waited patiently to be forgotten. Thanks for watching. Follow Story Hub Central for more exciting stories.